All right, I'm going to show off a project I've been working on this summer, which lets you trigger a sequence that you can improvise over, that sort of acts like a looping pedal would. So you can basically sequence the recording and playback of loops and set it up like a song structure so that you can just hit go and improvise different sections of this song without needing to worry about triggering the looper. It just all the sequencer kind of just steps through all that. So I'm gonna give it a shot. Looking at the Ableton project, I basically have this track here where each of these clips is a 2 or 4 bar section of the song, and each of these is set to step to the next one after finishing. So you might start with a count off and then do your rhythm part, do some drums, and all the instrument changes are handled automatically in that clip using MIDI mapping in Ableton. So the clip will play a note that is used to select different clips or tell it to record or play in Ableton. So that track is just controlling the sequencer itself and whether it's recording clips or not, and instrument changes. Then down here I have a Max for Live plugin I made that opens a pop-up. This is also controlled by the sequencer that tells you sort of in big blocky text what clip is playing currently, so what section of the song you're on currently, what instrument is selected, how many measures are left, or how many beats are left before that section of the song is done, and what section is coming next. So you can sort of have that up while you're playing live and know where you're at, know what's coming up next, know what the sequencer is doing, and not be caught off guard by instrument changes, not be caught off guard by the different song sections coming up. And I have some naming conventions for that tell you kind of in the name of the clip what instrument is selected, how many bars it is, and kind of what the purpose of that section is in the song. So each of these projects is basically one song structure. I do have an ability down here to throw lyrics in there. I just kind of have Stop Breaking Down, little blues lyrics in there to test it out. But that lets you have lyrics pop up too, which show up down here, and I have one of the notes in the sequencer causes it to cycle through the lyrics. So it's sort of like a karaoke window. You can time it when it's going to change and show different lines of the lyrics. So you can throw some lyrics in there, click play, and just like freestyle over this song structure. I'll give some examples here. Okay, I'm going to trigger this and sort of show it off in action. I'm going to try to film this with one hand and play on the keyboard with the other hand, so we'll see how that goes. If I start this first scene, this is setting the tempo and the time signature, and I just have it idling on this loop with this hi-hat to kind of give me a sense of the tempo. It's selected the keyboard sound. I can noodle around just to kind of get an idea of what I'm doing here. And then if I trigger the next scene, it'll start the count off and launch me into the thing. Bring up the pop-up window too. see the lyrics cycling through. That's it. Once it's done, it actually clears off everything it just recorded and then loads the next song. It loads the next live set, which you can set in that Max for Live plugin. So that's basically that. So it's hard to do that with one hand, but it lets me sort of improvise over a song structure and build out the song stepwise, and I can create one of these projects in Ableton, one of these live sets, and have it represent a structure and a sort of palette of sounds rather than just improvising with one sound or having to mess with a loop pedal all the time, and rather than pre-recording something. And so it's just kind of a fun way to noodle around. I did a little blues thing as the first project just to get a simple song structure in there. It doesn't need to be that, and it doesn't need to be, I can do anything over this structure now too. And so that's kind of the crux of it. A little more detail about how this works. I'm going to open one of these tracks. First thing is the name of that track. I put a little asterisk in front of it if it's one that's recording when I trigger it. And so these other ones that don't have that asterisk, I'm free to just noodle around in there and it's not actually going to record when I'm playing. But these other ones, this is a clip where for those 2 bars or 1 bar or whatever, it's recording onto this this track. I have a track for a bunch of different loops basically that I can choose which one is going to be recorded to. So like this keys lick in the beginning, I have these notes, this G#2 and this E2 note. E2 is mapped to recording on, let's click this MIDI mapping here. E2 is mapped to recording this first clip for the synth part. So anytime I have one of those clips play E2 on channel 2, it's gonna trigger that one clip. And the first time it's gonna be recording, and every time after that it's gonna play. And so I can have it record that first time. When it plays it here, it's gonna record it. But then every clip after this, I can have it play back again, and I can stop playing it and have it cut out and have it come back in again. And that's kind of how you build out your structure, is by deciding which of those clips are going to get recorded and then which ones are going to get played back when. And the whole time I'm also recording new parts over the top of it, because I'm triggering those new parts to record too. And then I also just have some, it's nice to give yourself a little space to breathe and have some clips in there that don't record, so you can noodle around on effects or just kind of take a breather, or just sing vocals and not focus on, you know, playing the instrument and stuff like that. This one moves along kind of at a clip, and so there isn't a lot of noodly time in there, but that's how that works. And that's it. I've been working on that project for the last couple of months, maybe longer than that, just to get this first sequence sort of locked in and get everything set up and mapped the way I want it to be, get all my effects mapped. I'm kind of designing this to be played on the guitar that I made, so it has a certain number of knobs and a certain number of buttons and things like that that I want to make sure I can do something with. And also, I have to keep an eye on performance playing through this laptop, but it's fun. I can just hit play and jam now and feel like I'm doing more than just noodling, you know, over like a 2-chord loop or something. So I'm excited to build out more song structures with it, and I'm excited to kind of figure out different palettes of sounds to use and different styles of things to use. I have a bunch of ideas for that already. But this will be a good long-term project for me for live improvising. That's sort of a break from doing more song-written type things or composed type things. So it's a thing I'll probably come back to more in the future, and a thing I'll probably play with a lot just for fun. Okay, hope that was interesting.